Regional forms are stupid, and there's a big problem with them. It's been a thing ever since Alola in Gen 7, and then we got more in Gen 8 with regional evolutions and more regional forms. And then they didn't do as many in Gen 9, but we still had convergent evolutions. And I think it's a cool idea. And it makes sense, like animals in different places changes depending on the environment, and depending on where you are as a person, you change. So why would Pokemon not do that as well? And one of my favorite Pokemons is Alola Ninetales. And I think it's so cool. It's in the top 5 of my favorite Pokemons, or at least off the top of my head. And I think it's really, really cool. But that doesn't mean I like the whole idea. Like I said, I think it's a cool idea, but I don't like the whole idea. It's not like I think they shouldn't exist or anything, but there is a big problem with them. First of all, they're kinda lame, boring, and just straight up lazy. Taking an old design and changing it a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. But bringing it in as a new thing, as a new Pokemon, as a new Pokédex entry, or like, it's not completely a new Pokédex entry, obviously, but it's still like part of the Pokédex, and you make it into a new Pokemon. Oh, this is the new thing. I don't like that. It's obviously cool to give Pokemon new forms, and I do like that. With new forms, there could be more things you can do with the Pokemon. But instead of making regional forms, they can just have new Pokemons, new concepts, and new ideas. We don't need old Pokemons for that. They can obviously take old Pokemons, look at them, and then make new Pokemons. But we don't need the same Pokemon a little different. I think that's so lazy, and it's a waste of new Pokemons. And there are ways to give old Pokemon more love and more attention. We have had Mega Evolutions, you can have a Pokemon earlier in the game so people can catch it. Stuff like that. We could also just make new forms if you really need to. Some Pokemon can get evolutions, stuff like that. We don't need regional forms. At least not for that. And then we have regional evolutions. And I think they suck. It's not like I hate them all, I think they're cool. But it's such a waste. Why would you add a new evolution to a regional form like Farfetch'd instead of giving Farfetch'd an evolution? Why would you make Surfetch'd only evolve from a regional form of Farfetch'd instead of just evolving Farfetch'd? And the same with Obstagoon, it's such a cool Pokemon, but you can only get it in Galar for some reason. Why? Obviously, Obstagoon wouldn't be like the same Pokemon if it evolved from regular Linoon, but then create new Pokemons. The Zigzagoon and Linoon didn't have to be them, they could have created more similar Pokemons to Obstagoon. Like, we didn't need those regional forms. And if you wanted to give love to Linoon, you could give a new evolution to it. And then we have Pokemons that are an evolution that already sort of exist, like Runerigus and Clodsire. You might still want them, but they could easily be a split evolution. I have nothing against adding split evolutions to old Pokemons. I think that's pretty cool and brings more love to that pre-evolution. Obviously, it kind of ignores the other part of the evolution, like Quagsire, for example, in the Clodsire case, but it's still better than only having it evolve while it's like with that regional form. And you can say it doesn't make sense that Runerigus evolves and the Clodsire evolves from their pre-evolutions if they're not the regional forms. But we have had so weird evolutions in Pokemon before, and that's not even that weird, you know, it would still work. And then we have Pokemon in Hisui that only evolves in Hisui, like Stantler. Why? Why make it that? It would be way cooler if in a future game you find a way to evolve it, or a new way to evolve it. I think it's a cool idea that an old evolution becomes a later evolution as well. That, oh yeah, in the future they find out they can actually evolve Stantler. And the same with Ursaluna. You could just find the item that you need in the future. It could have been an item that no one has ever found in so many years, but suddenly they found a place with this item. That would make so much sense if they just did that. And then we don't need to restrict it to the past, to other games, to other regions. Especially with Hisui, it's old. Like, how would you ever get those Pokemon? And that's why I think that would just be better. And I think you could just have items. You can find items, for example, for these different evolutions Like with the starters, Quilava into Typhlosion, like that could just be an item to get Hisuian Typhlosion, for example. And if you don't want it to be like very easy to find it, make it a quest or something like that. You can make it add a little bit into the lore, something like that. It would be so cool. Also, giving Quillfish and Pasculine evolution or regional evolutions, why not just evolve them? That would make so much more sense. White Striped Basculin, that's the most wasted Pokemon ever. Just evolve regular Basculin. Like, that's so stupid. And Quillfish needed an evolution, or could have got an evolution, but no, we gotta make it a form, so regular Quillfish is suddenly worthless. That's also why I hate regional evolutions, because the pre-evolutions, regular forms, become kinda worthless. And then finally, convergent evolutions. I don't think there's much to say here, except for that it's kinda lazy and boring. It's just a new way of having regional forms. It's basically a regional form, but a little different. Because obviously, they look a little more different. And I think that Wiglet and Toadschool is pretty cool. Like, I don't mind them. But you didn't have to make them in that way. You could have just said they're new Pokemon and changed a little bit more about them. It's just lazy to say, oh yeah, we have this old Pokemon and make it into a new one, but it's not actually the same one. It's so lazy. They could have just made them new Pokemons with new ideas, or like with the same idea, of course, and new designs. They could have made them, like I said, pretty similar still. Take inspiration of the old Pokemon, but not as much as they did here, and name it Convergent Evolution. Because in my opinion, they are just regional forms. If you watched this far, please feel free to subscribe and like the video, and let's continue with the video. And I think there are ways to fix this though. First of all, we don't need them anymore. Let's just skip regional forms or anything like that. But that's the obvious one. So first we have no longer make new evolutions for regional forms. Just new evolutions for a Pokemon that is only in that region. That's that's just the basic of it. That's just the easiest way to do it. Just evolve a old Pokemon and make it a split evolution or something like that. Like with Farfetch'd, just give it a new evolution. And then the already existing ones, we take items and we turn these forms into their other forms with these items. It might sound weird, but Pokemon have always had forms. We have Mega Evolutions, we have just other forms with items. And how cool would it be if you could take an Alola Ninetales and a Ninetales and give them items so they basically change form to the other one? That would make it so much better. That means you can get these Pokemon in the future games as well, and not just in these regions. And not by holding it, but like feeding it to them or something like that. And I think that's just a great idea. It also makes it so they can be caught in the wild, the regional forms. You can find Alolan Ninetales in the wild maybe. That would be so cool in another game, not just in Alola. And maybe it's because this item is there, so this Alolan Ninetales has touched it. Or maybe it just is in the environment and likes that environment. You know, that would be so much better. And this could make it even so you can catch Zigzagoon, turn it into the Galarian form, and then evolve it into Obstagoon, which makes it so you can use Obstagoon, so it's not a complete waste. And the same with Wooper and Clodsire. This way they can continue having Pokemons like Clodsire and Paldean Wooper, if they really want to. That means that the old Pokemon can get a new form and a new evolution with that. And that evolution, of course, contradict like with Quagsire and Clodsire, and not just an evolution of Quagsire, you know. And that makes it so they can continue with that if they really want to. I think they should still just make a split evolution, but if they want to change the typing completely, they can still do that, and then you can just give them an item to switch between them. Obviously, you couldn't turn Clodsire into Quagsire, but you can turn Wooper into Paldean Wooper. But like I said, just don't have regional forms anymore, and add items to the old ones, so we can keep on getting them. And absolutely no more regional evolutions. Just make new evolutions for Pokemons. Like they did with Annihilate, Farigiraf. So cool. I absolutely love that they came back with evolutions. We really needed that. And with Convergent evolutions, just scrap the whole idea. We don't need them. and just take inspiration from old Pokémons to new Pokémons and create new ideas with them. And that's why I hate regional evolutions and how I would fix it. Please let me know in the comments if you like this idea, or if you would do something else, or maybe you like regional evolutions or regional forms and all of it a lot, who knows. Thank you for watching this video. Like I said, please feel free to leave a comment of what you think of everything I said in today's video. I have a video right here that you can watch where I talk about what Gen 10 really needs. I think when I've uploaded this video, Gen 10 has been revealed, but right now it has not. So maybe you already know, and maybe some of this stuff has come true. So take a look at it and see if you enjoy it. But other than that, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night, day, morning, or whatever. Peace out, and don't forget to follow.